Mr. Chairman. Outgoing presidents have a clear incentive to work to shore up their legacy and finish priority lists during their last few months in office. That's expected. That's normal. This incentive grows even stronger, though, in the period between the election and the inauguration of a new president, as there will be little to no negative consequences or opportunities for constructive feedback to keep the administration from making politically motivated regulatory decisions. However, the negative consequences will simply fall on everyone else who will have to deal with the new rules and their damage, potentially, to the economy. This Washington ritual has become so common that it even has its own name, midnight rules. Research has shown that an average of 17% more rules were promulgated between Election Day and Inauguration Day compared to non-election years. This trend in midnight rulemaking has been even more dramatic in recent years, with the highest spikes occurring in 1980, 1992, and 2000. To help put this in perspective, the outgoing Clinton administration published 51% more pages of rules than it did during the average of the same period of the prior 3 years. In one of these midnight rules, the Clinton administration published a proposed rule on residential clothes washers, mandating stores to sell government-approved washing machines considered to be, quote, more efficient. Just 3 months later, and 8 days before the end of his term, the final rule with far-reaching effects for household appliances was published. The rulemaking process for this major rule took less time than the comment period for the Clean Power Plan. And though there were several reports that found the rule would increase cost on consumers, it was quickly finalized. To halt the practice of midnight rules, a practice misused by presidents of both parties, I introduced H.R. 4612, the Midnight Rule Relief Act. This legislation would establish a 10-week regulatory moratorium on major rules between Election Day and the inauguration of a new president. So far, since 2009, the current administration is already responsible for over $600 billion in regulatory costs from major rules. And given the administration's tendency to overregulate and overreach, all indications are they are not done. In the Department of Energy alone, potentially 6 remaining regulations could have an annual cost of $2.9 billion. Placing a moratorium on midnight regulations is a concept that has been raised by both Republicans and Democrats. In fact, in 2008, Congressman Nadler introduced a very similar bill to curb midnight rules under the outgoing Bush administration. I hope we can work together to ensure small businesses in Michigan, my state, and across the country aren't faced with a new onslaught of excessive regulations that stifle wages, job creation, and economic growth. With that, I urge my colleagues to support this legislation, and I reserve.